Chapter 6: Reduced Social Capital. This topic is particularly interesting because it shifts the conversation away from what a person knows to who they know who knows them, and what information flows through their social network. From a psychological perspective, social capital isn't simply about having connections. It's about how relationships shape beliefs, expectations, confidence, opportunities, and even identity. Importantly, reduced social capital is not unique to any racial or ethnic group. It can affect anyone who grows up in isolated communities, economically disadvantaged neighborhoods, or environments with limited exposure to high opportunity careers. What is social capital? Sociologists often distinguish between human capital and social capital. Human capital is what you know, your education, skills, experience, and abilities. Social capital is who you know and how those relationships provide information, trust, mentorship, and opportunities. Psychologically, social capital acts like an invisible bridge between potential and opportunity. Two equally talented people may have very different life trajectories simply because one has access to people who can open doors or provide guidance. One of the brain's most powerful abilities is normalization. Children don't compare their world to every possible world. They compare it to the world they see every day. If everyone around you is employed in professional careers, discussing university, investing, starting businesses, traveling for work, your brain begins treating those paths as ordinary. They become psychologically attainable. Now imagine the opposite. Everyone you know works hourly jobs. Very few people attended university. Nobody owns a business. Nobody works in medicine, engineering, finance, or law. Your brain doesn't conclude, those careers are impossible. Instead, it quietly concludes, those careers aren't part of my world. That subtle difference matters enormously. Before people pursue opportunities, they usually have to imagine themselves in them. Psychologists sometimes talk about possible selves, the mental images people have of who they could become. Your environment helps determine which futures feel realistic. If you've never met a doctor, an architect, a software engineer, a judge, or a successful entrepreneur, it's harder to picture yourself becoming one. Not impossible, just psychologically more distant. Many opportunities aren't publicly advertised. People hear about them because someone says, I know someone hiring. My company has internships. My cousin works there. My old professor can introduce you. These are examples of what sociologists call weak ties, acquaintances rather than close friends. Research by Mark Granovetta showed that these weaker connections often provide access to new information and opportunities precisely because they connect us to different social circles. Without these connections, people may never learn about opportunities that others take for granted. Mentors do more than teach skills. They change self-perception. A mentor can say, "You belong here." Those 4 words can completely alter someone's psychological trajectory. People often borrow confidence from others before developing it themselves. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as social persuasion, one of the sources of self-efficacy identified by Albert Bandura. Suppose 2 graduates receive the same rejection letter. Graduate A calls an uncle. The uncle knows someone at another company. An interview is arranged. Graduate B knows nobody in that industry. The rejection feels final. Psychologically, repeated dead ends create discouragement. Repeated introductions create optimism, and the difference isn't just opportunity, it's an expectation. Imagine a fictional young man named Jamal. Jamal grows up in a neighborhood where nearly everyone works hard. His mother is a nursing assistant. His father drives delivery trucks. His neighbors are mechanics, warehouse workers, retail employees, and cleaners. These are honorable professions. But Jamal notices something he has never met: a lawyer, an engineer, an investment analyst, a software developer, or a corporate executive. Those careers exist mostly on television. Jamal enjoys computers. He teaches himself basic programming online. His teachers praise his ability. One asks, "Have you thought about applying for internships?" Jamal says, "I didn't know high school students could do that." His teacher realizes something. Jamal isn't lacking motivation, he's lacking information. Jamal earns admission to a good university. Many classmates grew up differently. They casually mention, "My dad introduced me to someone at a tech company. My aunt helped me prepare for interviews. My neighbor is a recruiter." Jamal listens quietly. Nobody in his family has ever worked in technology. When internship applications ask for referrals, he leaves the section blank. He sends out dozens of applications. Most receive no response. His confidence begins to fade. He wonders, maybe I'm just not competitive enough. One evening, he attends a local technology networking event almost by accident. He feels out of place. People seem confident, speak the industry's language, and exchange business cards with ease. He considers leaving. Then, an older software engineer notices him standing alone. They start talking. The engineer reviews Jamal's resume, points out several improvements, introduces him to colleagues, and encourages him to apply for an entry-level position. A few months later, Jamal receives an offer. Looking back, he realizes something important. His programming skills hadn't suddenly improved, his social network had. Jamal has become a senior engineer. A student from a background similar to his reaches out for advice. Jamal agrees to mentor him. As they talk, Jamal sees himself from years earlier. Before ending the conversation, he says, "You're probably more qualified than you think. You just haven't met enough people who can show you the path." For that student, the meeting doesn't merely provide information, it changes what feels possible. Reduced social capital is powerful because it affects both external opportunities and internal beliefs. Networks provide introductions, practical advice, role models, and encouragement, but they also shape what people perceive as normal and achievable. When individuals have limited exposure to people in high opportunity environments, they may underestimate the range of futures available to them, not because they lack talent, but because those futures have never felt psychologically close. The encouraging aspect is that social capital is not fixed. Mentorship, professional organizations, internships, alumni networks, community programs, and even one meaningful relationship can expand a person's network and alter their expectations. In that sense, social capital doesn't simply open doors. It can reshape how people think about themselves and the opportunities they are willing to pursue.